Welcome to SAT TV's news. I am Shana Esprit, your presenter. Among the major developments, residents have got shocked by discovery of disposed fetus, and the National Disaster Management gives advisory on Tropical Storm Chantal. Details of this will follow. Welcome back. Acting National Disaster Coordinator Mr. Don Corriette gave an update to Dominicans on the progress of Storm Chantal.
As Met Office has just reported, we expect some squally weather during the course of this morning, deteriorating as we approach mid-morning towards midday. We are in the discussion that is at the NIPO level, looking at the reports we have been receiving from the Met Office and also from the regional agencies, from Barbados, for example. In the interim, what we want to advise is, as the Met Office has said, and as we have said yesterday, that we should exercise extreme caution, especially those of us who live in vulnerable areas.
Mr. Corriette advised the people who live in vulnerable areas, as in areas prone to landslide, ravines, water waves, and rivers, to exercise extreme caution.
We'll be monitoring the system, as the Met Office said. There are going to be squalls passing through, heavy showers, gusty winds, and we expect that situation to deteriorate by midday towards the afternoon session. So extreme caution is my advice. Fishermen, fisherfolk, as we said yesterday, take proactive action, remove their boats from the shoreline, and also farmers who have animals tied close to waterways to have them removed.
The disaster unit will continue to monitor the situation. In more news, a 5-day intensive training course for health and family life education organized by the United Nations Children Fund in collaboration with the Ministry of Education is being held at the Public Service Training Center. On the first day of the training course, Mr. Nicholas Goldberg, Senior Education Officer of Curriculum Measurement and EVA, gave his remarks on the issues affecting Dominica's youth as well as focusing on HIV/AIDS. He refers to the United Nations Children Fund 3 aims as to why HFLE is so important in primary and secondary school education.
One of the reasons, they state, the rate of HIV/AIDS prevalence in the Caribbean is the second highest in the world after sub-Saharan Africa. A study by the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, found that many young people have their first sexual experience before the age of 12. Hardly ever using condoms. In Dominica, as we know, the statistics show between 1987 and 2012, there were reported some 396 cases of HIV infection in Dominica and some 143 deaths in this period.
According to Coordinator of National Response, Mrs. Julie Frampton, over 70% of these cases are men in the age group of 25 to 49 years old.
We need to look to the development and implementation of programs which are designed to reduce antisocial behaviours at play in society. And the health and family life education is one of these. It really is an important pillar, and we need to teach it. The objectives of such a program would be to increase the knowledge, the skills, the attitudes and the behaviours of young persons, so that they facilitate the adoption of healthy and productive lifestyles. and will enable Dominican youth to contribute to healthy Dominican society and a prosperous and sustainable economy.
This training course will cover many social issues associated with health and family life education, and the Ministry of Education hopes that HFLE will help solve some of these issues by giving teachers the skills necessary to teach students these important lessons. In other news, members of the private sector accepted an invitation from the Prime Minister and members of the Cabinet and met on Thursday, June 27, 2013 to discuss the upcoming budget. The discussion revolved around the various challenges which inhibit growth met by both the public and the private sector. Discussion also took place regarding challenges facing businesses, including the statistic that corporate tax paid in by compliant businesses to the government between 2009 and 2012 fell by approximately 9 million EC dollars. This concerning statistic reflects the losses under which businesses are operating. Despite the seriousness of the discussion, the focus remained on cooperation toward growth and employment. Incentives were suggested for renewable energy investments in order to cut energy costs, incentives for business expansion and employment expansion. Business financing through the banking system was discussed at length. It was recommended that the government use its influence to affect repayment policies which put pressure on startup businesses during the first 5 critical years of operation. It was also noted that changing these conditions would be difficult if funds were obtained from traditional development partners, since the strict terms of their lending affected the policies of the local banks. Private sector raised concerns about the value-added tax on the manufacturing sector as well as on the service charge of the tourism industry, which are export-driven and remain uncompetitive in price. In other stories, the police have launched an investigation into the discovery of a fetus that was found dead in a gutter in Gutter Village on Tuesday, July 9th. A resident reported seeing the fetus at about 7 a.m. and the police was called, who promptly arrived on the scene. Although details are sketchy surrounding the circumstances of the discovery or a possible suspect, one resident of Gutter stated the fetus must have been disposed from a house in close proximity to the gutter. I see the baby in the gutter and there were no bruises or cuts on it, which would have indicated it traveled far, but the baby's body was flawless. So I think it's a nearby house it was disposed from, he said. Another resident of Gutter explained that the newborn was found near a drain-out pipe from a house, which clearly shows it may have originated from that exact house. Many curious onlookers who arrived at the scene shared the same sentiment of disbelief that someone could have carried out such an atrocious and inhumane act to their offspring. Closer inspection of the fetus showed that the umbilical cord was still attached when it was disposed. SAT-TV's news will provide an update as soon as more information becomes available on this developing story. In more stories, one man has been hospitalized following a stabbing incident at Dubla on Monday, July 7th at about 6:30 a.m. 26-year-old Adrian Carbon of Boetica, residing at Canefield, is presently in critical condition at the Princess Margaret Hospital as a result of multiple stab wounds sustained to his back. Meanwhile, another man from the village of Dubla is currently in police custody and is being questioned in reference to the stabbing. Investigations are continuing. In more news, the National and Cultural Council and the Cultural Division officially launched Emancipation Celebration 2013 on Monday, July 8th. The celebration, which is scheduled to run from Tuesday, July 30th to Sunday, August 11th, will be observed under the theme Celebrating, Uniting, Achieving. Chief Cultural Officer Mr. Raymond Lawrence stated the first activity is the Golden Drum Awards, scheduled for Tuesday, July 30th at the Arawak House of Culture from 8 p.m.
On Thursday, the 1st of August, we will have the unveiling of the Neg Mawon Emancipation Monument at the roundabout close to the Peebles Park. This monument is in honor of the memory of all the enslaved Africans who were brought to our shores and who suffered and died here. In some cases, they were executed. The monument is a tribute to the Maroons who escaped from the plantations and who put up resistance and fought for the emancipation of the slaves. The monument also celebrates the contribution which all the Africans made to our life and culture here in Dominica, and the profound influence which they had on our language, our music, our costumes, our cuisine, and other aspects of life.
On Saturday, August 3rd, there will be an emancipation hike, while August 3rd to August 5th will feature the Egliston Heritage Festival. Friday, August 9th to Sunday, August 11th is set aside for the Nature Island Literary Festival at UWI Open Campus. Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports, Honorable Justina Charles noted, observing emancipation is a mark of respect to our ancestors who fought for freedom and liberation. This we must never forget. Coordinator of the Egliston Heritage Festival, Ms. Shirley Alexander, revealed that the festival is an excellent idea as it puts the villages of Egliston and Girondale in the spotlight.
Well, next Saturday we have a traditional treasure or scavenger hunt where we are going to have our young people going around the villages of Egliston searching for our traditional treasures, human and material resources that makes us who we are, and we will end at the heritage site in a special way. We have a look good, feel good session. As I said, it's not only celebration, but we want to try to enhance ourselves. Personal enhancement sessions. We have Magic Creole one day on a Sunday where you can come and experience that, a bullseye and ring games night. Of course, in between we'll have lots of old-time jams or old-time dances with special attractions or special style and fashion like toeless and white socks, or maybe tank top and white shorts. So those kind of things of the past, we've been hearing a lot of those old-time, oldie-goldie dances. So we'll be having quite a few of that. As I said, it's a whole month, and as sponsorship gets better, we will do more.
She added the twin villages of Egliston and Girondale will be alive this year, and they are all excited about the first annual Egliston Heritage Festival, especially as they have a rich heritage. This festival is being featured for the first time as part of Dominica's Emancipation celebrations. Coordinator of the Nature Island Literary Festival, Mr. Owen Booley, also delivered remarks at the ceremony.
So the Nature Island Literary Festival and Book Fair this year will be celebrating the life and the work of Aimé Césaire, who is a Martinican philosopher and also a poet and writer who has became world famous, of course, for his work starting back in the 1940s and 1950s, where he began what was called at the time the Negritude movement, which is what sort of brought pride and dignity to the black race, to people of African descent.
In other news, on Friday, July 5th at the Fort Young Hotel, the Rotaract Club of Roseau, sponsored by the Rotary Club of Dominica, dubbed its new executive as its 20th annual investiture ceremony. The ceremony was held under the theme Renew, Innovate, Evolve as we take pride in the service we provide. The presidential medallion was handed over to Ms. Taisha Williams for the 2013-2014 Rotaract year. Ms. Williams indicated that Rotaractors should seize all opportunities to make a difference in their communities. Acting speedily on the challenges brought forward can bring extreme gratification when the service rendered lights up the faces of the recipients. She requested the club members to keep on working as a team and to keep the family spirit alive, as a motivated team is critical for success. Rotary President Mr. Robert Tong, who was present at the ceremony, reminded Rotaractors that what we think and feel is what will happen. Therefore, a positive outlook should be adopted to achieve as much as possible. In his feature address, Roman Catholic priest Father Herman Chaplis told the club members that Jesus' life was one of service and that his life is one of the hardest, as it may seem unfulfilling at times. The members of the 2013 to 2014 executives are Bianca Payne, immediate past president Ezra Peter, vice president and finance director Kadisha John Baptist, secretary Cleavon John Baptist, Treasurer Lisa Latouche, Assistant Secretary, Treasurer and Club Service Director Rodman Luis, Community Service Director and Sergeant at Arms. Other executive members are Austin Lazarus, Professional Service Director and District Editor, Amy Nielsen, International Service Director, Shanda Carbon, Public Relations Officer, and Ishmael Joseph, Club Westmaster. Assistant Direct Webmaster and District Liaison Officer Rotarian Clyde Edwards will serve as the Rotary Rotaract Liaison Officer. One new member was Vernice Thomas, who inducted to the club at the ceremony after bearing prospective status for over 6 months. And finally, the Dominica Association of Teachers will be hosting their annual summer workshop this week as part of the Canadian Teachers Solution Project Overseas Program in collaboration with the Ministry of Education. For over 30 years, the Dominica Association of Teachers has hosted this summer's workshop and realized the need to develop it further.
This is a workshop we have been doing for the last 30 plus years, and we are now even trying to change the name and call it a Summer Institute because it has been a mainstay of our educational platform. And it is part of the Canadian Teachers Federation Project Overseas Program. And we are doing this in partnership, of course, with the Ministry of Education. This is part of our professional support from the Ministry of Education, that this is part of our engagement with the government of Dominica.
The workshop will include 4 professional courses: food and nutrition, literacy, numeracy, and special education.
Why food and nutrition? Because we want our teachers to teach our students to eat right. It's an Eat Right platform, so we want our teachers to infuse our children and of course their parents to eat what we grow, and it's looking at the food substitution, helping to decrease the food import bills in the Commonwealth of Dominica.
Ms. Nicholas explains further the reasons for having the workshop based on the other professional courses.
Literacy and numeracy, we have done that over a number of years, and we are seeing, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, of course, we are bearing some dividends in that area. And the results of the Grade 6 National Assessment with less B's and E's are showing that more dynamic strategies can help. We are trying to introduce some more encouraging and child-friendly strategies to encourage students to cultivate a sustained interest in reading, not only reading for study, but reading as a pastime.
According to Ms. Nicholas, special education is needed more than ever due to the Universal Education Program, which creates more diverse classroom situations at the secondary school level. She said it is the hope of the DAT that students not only succeed, but each teacher affects positive change in the Ministry of Education and the educational system of Dominica. This has been our local news package for the evening. When we return, a recap of the headlines. Now for a recap of the headlines. Residents of Gota shocked by discovery of disposed fetus, and the National Disaster Management gives advisory on Tropical Storm Chantal. You have been watching SAD TV's news. We thank you for joining us, and we invite you to join us again tomorrow for another news package. On behalf of SAD TV's news production team, I am Shana Esprit, wishing you a pleasant evening. Feel free to send your queries and comments to news@sat.dm. You can also join us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/sattelecoms or follow us on Twitter at www.twitter.com/sattelecoms. Remember, Sat Telecoms is the people's choice and SatNet a better choice.